This doesn't mean I dislike Evergreen Fog, or even Very Perry, but my color of the year is just a tad different. It's 2022, which means we now know what every paint company chose for their colors of the year. And in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts about all of them. Spoiler alert, they wouldn't have been my first choice. But that being said, I'll have a color of the year announcement at the end of this video, so be sure you stick around if you want to hear all about that. Hit the like button if you're interested in painting and decorating, and let's get into this. So just to get things out of the way, there is no singular color of the year. Every major paint company puts out what they believe to be the definitive color that reflects design moving forward to them in their opinion. And for the most part, there seemed to be a pretty solid consensus amongst the different companies, except Pantone. Whether it's Benjamin Moore, PPG, Sherwin-Williams, or Glidden, 2022 looks to be the year of green. Even the likes of Behr's Breezeway has some green in it, and Dunn Edwards Art and Craft is a perfect fit for green, being a brown. This is the first time in a while that I remember there being so much overlap with all of the color of the year selections. Normally, paint companies, they aim to stand out amongst the crowd with something groundbreaking and unique, but 2022 looks like it has other plans. The first question I aim to answer today is, why? Why is there so much green? Well, I could see two possibilities. The first one is that each paint company had similar results in their research process. Every process is a little bit different, but normally a color of the year is determined by a panel of industry experts that can consist of interior designers, even graphic artists and fashion designers, and color experts that just talk about color alone. These prestigious people factor in a myriad of things to ultimately decide the next big color. So with that said, in my mind, if there is a tangible method that these companies utilize, then it would only make sense that other companies using the same methods would come to similar conclusions. If there's something in the water that leads to green in terms of design, then it's no wonder so many companies gravitated towards green this year. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. This isn't why there's so much green. The reasoning for that is based on when the colors of the year were announced. You would think that the 2022 colors would be announced in 2022, maybe December of the previous year latest. But you have companies making the announcement in October, September, even August of the previous year. I don't know how many sports fans are watching, but I wouldn't bet on a Super Bowl champion before the season even starts. And that's kind of what they're doing here. I'm not much of a gambler at all, actually, so I'm very boring. Now, I understand that a part of the process is predicting what the upcoming trends are going to be rather than the current ones that are popular today. So there is that risk versus reward aspect of getting it right well before the competition. But what I suspect might have happened this year a little bit was maybe a green snowball effect. As soon as one company revealed a rejuvenating rebirth green for their next big color, who's gonna go against that with a contrarian off black or a depressing frigid gray? Then, once one company was inspired by, then it gave everyone else more incentive to hitch themselves to the green bandwagon. Look, these decisions, they're not easy ones. Normally, they require a lot of research, prep, and most importantly, time. So these are decisions that were made months and months and months and months ago. I don't necessarily think that Sherwin-Williams made a last-minute change once PPG announced Olive Sprig. But I do find it curious that there are so many parallels across the board. Comment below if you think there's a green conspiracy going on. Now that we have speculated as to why there's so much green being promoted, let's talk about whether it's a problem or not. Personally, I don't think so, only because I really like green in general. Either as a paint color or reflected in beautiful greenery and plant life, green has always reflected new beginnings and growth in regards to color theory. That's something that I hope resonates in all of us. Even on the more practical side of things, green is a great transitional color that sits between blue and yellow, soothing blue and creative, energetic yellow. You have this wonderful duality with green. You can have a more soothing and therapeutic blue-green in Behr's Breezeway, or a fun, zesty green in Glidden's Guacamole. Two very different aesthetics, but both within the same general umbrella of green, or at the very least, green leaning. But here's the real reason that I think green is so popular now. It's because green is the new neutral. You may think, what do you mean, James? Aren't neutral colors supposed to be gray or grayish? Well, you'd be right in the general sense of the term. As most people understand, neutrals, they're just muted colors that have their color hue settled with a more grayed out or dusty aesthetic. There are many greens that share those characteristics, especially greenish, my favorite type of color. But I'm even talking about brighter, more saturated greens that are more visually striking. The crazy thing is, any color can technically be neutral if we're talking about design. A neutral color is the dominant color in a palette and acts as the baseline of the color scheme. And as we see more and more companies embrace earthy tones like green, except Pantone, the more we as a society will accept them as the new normal. And that's a new normal that I can actually get behind. Now, I mentioned earlier that I would not have chosen these colors as my color of the year. And that's largely because the world of design moves pretty quickly and things can fall out of favor like that. This doesn't mean I dislike Evergreen Fog or even Pantone's Very Perry, but my color of the year is just a tad different. More specifically, the paint people have picked 3 paint colors for our personal choices for the 2022 colors of the year, and we're announcing them, guess what? In 2022. On Friday, January 14th, I'll let you know what the Paint People's 2022 colors of the year are, and the theme we're going with is called The Basic, The Bold, and The Breathtaking. Starting with an easy to implement neutral color that can act as a backdrop to any modern design, a bold accent that will stand sharply on its own or against more passive choices, and finally, the wild card choice that is not rooted in tons of research, but a more visceral choice that the Paint People team is currently obsessed with. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you don't want to miss that. And here's Evergreen Fog, which was your favorite color of the year as voted on our Instagram page. And yeah, we have Instagram too.